Sporty, dynamic, and a rich sound, it's unmistakably a Porsche. With the open-top Carrera Cabriolet, the Stuttgart-based car maker is now expanding its 911 series. We tested the Carrera S Cabriolet with 294 kilowatts on the Circuito de Maspalomas in Gran Canaria. Michael Schätzle of Porsche says the Cabrio is based on the Coupe, combining all the advantages of the new 991 Coupe. Beyond that, Schätzle also claims that Porsche has improved dynamic torsional rigidity of the car by 18%. The Cabrio shakes much less and has a coupe-like feel to it. The Cabrio buyer, says Schätzle, has no structural disadvantages compared with a coupe. The Porsche Cabrio is equipped with a dual-clutch transmission known as PDK and an optional sport chrono package. That further sharpens up the car's already great acceleration and improved fuel economy. It can sprint from 0 up to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4.3 seconds, with a fuel consumption of 8.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Because of its all-new roof construction, the roof contour is preserved for the very first time. Dropping the roof is simply a case of pushing a button on the center console. The 911 Carrera Cabriolet is 10 centimeters longer in wheelbase than the previous generation. 20-inch outer rims underscore the machine's sportiness. The convertible top does shrink the rear trunk storage capacity by 50 liters compared with a coupe. On the other hand, there's as much space up front as in the coupe. The roof of the new 911 Cabrio opens and closes in just 13 seconds, even driving at speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour. The top folds in such a way that the inner layer for insulating warmth and sound remains protected. The new folding top also comes with new roof bows. Detlef Rampf from Porsche explains what that means. Rampf says that classic cloth roofs have fabric structures made of supporting elements. Those are the roof bows. With classic roofs, those are individual bows visible in the outer form. Rampf says Porsche has expanded these bows so that they almost touch each other. The resulting two-dimensional elements are layered on top of each other when the roof opens. What's refreshingly different is the blue-colored interior. The comprehensive car information is stored in 5 round instruments. That includes a high-resolution multifunctional screen. The gear shift level knob is located in the middle console and is closer to the steering wheel. The seats are luxurious and comfortable. An electrically operated wind deflector reduces wind turbulence for driver and passenger when traveling at high speeds. The open-top 911 is especially popular in the U.S. Around 40% are sold in North America. 25% stay in Germany. 8% are sold in Britain. And even the Chinese are beginning to develop a taste for the open-top Porsche model. The open-top Carrera Dream has a price tag of over 118,000 euros in Germany. It's not cheap, but the dreaming is free. Mercedes 6th Generation SL is here. The body is made completely of aluminum, making it 125 kilograms lighter than before. The new SL 500 contains a V8 bi-turbo engine with 320 kilowatts. It allows the vehicle to accelerate from 0 to 60 kilometers an hour in 4.6 seconds. In Germany, the SL 500 with a 7G Tronic automatic transmission costs 117,000 euros. Volkswagen is on its way up with its Up series of city compacts. Beginning in May, VW's smallest car will also be available as a four-seater. It is powered by a three-cylinder petrol engine with 44 and 55 kilowatts. Although small cars generally don't rate well for safety, the Up received 5 out of 5 stars in the NCAP crash test. The four-seater retails for around 10,000 euros in Germany. Two new BMW scooters are due to hit the market in April. The C600 Sport, shown here, and the C650 GT. Both are considered maxi scooters due to their size. The C600 Sport has been designed with the inner city in mind. It comes with a 44 kilowatt power output, accelerating from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.1 seconds. But all this fun comes at a price, retailing at just over 11,000 euros in Germany. The C600 Sport is the more slimline ride. It contains the same two-cylinder inline engine as the C650 GT, but weighs in 12 kilos lighter. ABS comes standard, and there are optional extras like GPS navigation and LED daytime running lamps. Peter Meyer from BMW says the company consciously produced two vehicles, one positioned in the more sporty segment and the other for touring. But who will buy them? Meyer says BMW has its sights set on competitive riders, but it doesn't stop there. The scooters are also targeting scooter owners who might want to upgrade. They are also focused on urban mobility, especially car drivers who also have a motorcycle license and no longer want to put up with sitting in traffic jams or not finding a parking space. Meyer thinks the BMW scooters are a real alternative that could interest them. For rides outside the city, the C650 GT has more to offer. It provides more comfort and luxury over longer distances. Despite the size of the maxi scooters, BMW has managed to produce two of the most agile vehicles in their weight class. On paper, there aren't too many differences between the GT and Sport. The GT's heavier weight accounts for its slightly slower acceleration. The GT also offers more extras, adding to the price tag, which is 11,450 euros in Germany. Take a look at both models, and the differences are clearer. The GT is bigger, its design is clunkier, but it also appears more solid than the Sport. The passenger seat is also bigger, making it easier to survive longer journeys with an extra person. Rainer Unruh tested both scooters. He says the GT seat is higher than the Sport, but he prefers the Sport because it's more dynamic. He thinks the GT seems a bit more solid, a bit more comfortable, so it's probably a better option for longer journeys. But for the city and trips out of the city, he would go for the C600 Sport. After riding through Spain, he thinks there will be customers for the scooters there. He describes being approached on the street everywhere he went, people saying, "Great, I want one of those." But Unruh says he will be returning to his motorbike, but wouldn't rule out riding the GT in the city sometimes. He gives the scooter 4 out of 5. It is unclear how well the scooters will sell because they're relatively expensive compared to the competition, but nobody else can match the BMW's typical premium quality. Fuel efficiency is currently a key issue for car makers. But fuel-saving models can't get the job done on their own. Even the best technology is useless if the driver doesn't do their part to conserve fuel. Ford has fuel-efficient engines in its lineup, In an event known as Eco Drive, Ford is showing drivers simple tricks to exploit the potential of their engines and significantly improve their fuel consumption rates. After a brief introduction, the participants begin the first round. The test car is the Ford Focus Econetic. Ford's Volker Ice says that while Ford offers technology, it's useless unless a driver adjusts their habits and adopts a fuel-efficient driving style. Otherwise, the technology is simply overridden by the driver. If you always drive at full throttle in the wrong gear, even the best technology can't help. In the second round, a fuel-saving coach is in the passenger seat offering tips. He quickly recognizes habits that gobble up a lot of fuel in everyday life. Rolf Schinke tells the driver that he's too close to the car in front, allowing the other car to dictate his driving style. Leaving more room lets you drive more freely. Leaving such a wide gap may feel strange at first, but 15 meters minimum is the law, says Schinke. He recommends 20 meters for more control. He tells his driver to take his foot off the gas. The car ahead of him is turning the corner. Schinke tells the driver to go down a gear, but not to stop. If you were closer, he says, you would have to stop. Instead, you can just continue to roll, using less energy.
Wenn der Wagen startet, braucht die meiste Energie. Wenn wir weiter rollen können, brauchen wir wenig Energie.
Downshifting too soon is another common habit that costs momentum and energy. In general, experts like Rolf Schinke, a fuel-efficient trainer, recommend upshifting early to reach the speed you want to drive as quickly as possible. He says you can then use the car's own momentum, letting the car roll, taking your foot off the gas, or going out of gear. Schinke also recommends modern vehicles that turn off the engine automatically when you don't need it. Andreas Burkhardt says the training with the experts was worth it. Before the class, he says, he was using 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Not bad, he says. But afterwards, he got down to 4.9 liters. And over the course of a year, it's about 130 euros in fuel savings. With diesel, he says. The final result is surprising. Thanks to the fuel efficiency training, the team reduced their fuel usage by 32%. A boon for the environment and for their wallets. Techniques like these can be used with any vehicle, and taking your foot off the gas doesn't just lead to fuel savings, it's a big win for road safety too. They revolutionized the car world, brought technical innovation, or dazzled the masses. We're talking about automobile milestones. Christoph Bauer drives the most important cars in history from the Classic Car Museum in the car city of Wolfsburg. This time, he chooses an icon from Audi's past, the Audi Front UW220. The Audi Front was one of the first German cars built according to a modern platform strategy.
1932
Test driver Christoph Bauer says the Audi Front is the result of a fusion between German manufacturers Horch, DKW, Wanderer, and Audi in 1932. The know-how for the front-wheel drive came from the Audi Union's DKW division, the engine from Wanderer, and the wonderful car body of the limousine was produced by Horch. Christoph says today it's the standard, but back then big car makers sharing technical components was absolutely visionary. Between 1933 and 1938, 4,400 Audi Fronts were produced, first with a cylinder capacity of 2 liters and 40 horsepower, later with 2.5 liters and 50 horsepower. The car came in various styles: a 4-door limousine, a sports limousine, a cabriolet, or a sports cabrio. Back then, the driving concept was still in its infancy. Christoph says the concept is familiar from front-wheel drive cars. When you steer and accelerate at the same time, you feel the surging power at the wheel. That's not the case with modern cars. Bauer says with this Audi, you have the feeling that the steering wheel is literally being yanked out of your hands. Due to the high steering force and large turning cycle, Audi Front drivers can break into a sweat in city traffic or on windy country roads. But as early as the 1930s, the stylish six-cylinder Audi had appropriate terrain. Christoph says the first German Autobahn was opened in 1932, the A555 between Cologne and Bonn. It was perfect for the Audi Front, with its top speed of 100 kilometers per hour. And even the chassis was absolutely state-of-the-art. Single-wheel suspension in the front, pendulum axis in the back, and that in combination with the vehicle's relatively deep center of gravity for the time. Bauer says it makes for relaxed driving today, too. So, relax and enjoy the pleasures of Tuscany. Christoph says the car feels very luxurious apart from when it comes to changing gears. It symbolizes the high standards of Audi since 1923. Christoph says the Audi Front was targeted towards the well-heeled middle class. Its main selling point was its modern technology. So a front-wheel drive, square frame, and a six-cylinder series with an impressive 40 horsepower on tap. The test driver says the Audi Front is also a feast for the eye with its sleek lines. The car body of this sporty Cabriolet comes from the Glaser House in Dresden. Only a minority of the Audi Front models received a closed car body in the Horch plant in neighboring Zwickau. Most Audi Front customers opted for a Cabriolet produced by specialist Glaser in Dresden, with an open body with a choice of 4 or 2 side windows. The so-called walking stick car gear shift is a typical feature of early front-wheel drives. Christoph says the letters UW in the car's name stood for Umgekehrter Wanderer, the back-to-front wanderer. It referred to the fact that the car featured a Wanderer engine that had been turned around to drive wheels which were ahead of the engine. The gear shift and transmission, unfortunately, aren't so much fun. This is the 4th gear. Christoph says that in 1933, the press hailed the Audi Front's gear transmission as one of the most precise and smooth in a front-wheel drive. But he says that's not true from today's perspective. It rattles and shudders, especially in the 1st and 2nd gears. The 4th and 5th aren't bad, provided you find them. And that's not so easy because this old gear shift has meter-long cables going into the gearbox in front, so it's not very precise. And you have to be careful with the reverse gear. Bauer says there's no lock for it, and changing into the wrong gear can be expensive. Only the 3rd and 4th gears are synchronized. But then again, which trendsetter is perfect? Christoph says the Audi embarked on a new era with the Audi Front. Until today, front-wheel drives are trademarks of the Ingolstadt car maker. So they're still a hit at marketing events. Christoph says it was the first European car of the upper middle classes with a 6-cylinder engine and front-wheel drive. So definitely a milestone in automobile history. The Audi Front was a trailblazer in many ways. Way back in the 1930s, the iconic car already lived up to the car maker's later slogan, a head start through technology.